And like the more I learned about that, I was like, why are more people not like taking action on this as a side hustle to set their families up? But most people are not willing to do what it takes to put the work in, because it does take a commitment. And in order to make a commitment, there has to be a why. Why would I want to do that? And most people realize I could achieve financial freedom, but only a small percentage of people believe that they truly can.
Yeah. Family and friends of YouTube. So I am extremely excited about today. Tim Kelly, he is the one that actually got me started in multifamily investing in apartment complexes. Let me introduce you to Tim Kelly. He is a real estate investor and educator. He is an author, speaker, and he just recently separated from the U.S. Navy as a chief petty officer after 15 years. He achieved financial freedom through real estate investing in businesses. He's built enough passive income and cash flow to cover his family's living expenses. He has been investing in real estate since 2011, owns, controls, or has directly been involved in over 1,000 income-producing properties. He looks forward to acquiring 5,000 multifamily units within the next 3 years. He's a vice president of education and co-owner on the incredible platform Active Duty Passive Income. So with that, Tim Kelly, welcome.
Hey, man. Thanks for the very warm and intricate and in-depth intro. It's a pleasure, man.
I'm excited. It's something that you both and I are trying to educate people and help them understand how to see the opportunities around them. Let's start with that. How did you start your passive income journey?
Yeah, man. I mean, there was always just an interest in personal finance, just in general. I just always had, my mom was always actually really good with money, but from the scarcity side, like hoarding it and saving it and kind of like not as far as like Dave Ramsey, but she was a teacher that raised 3 kids, single parent. And she provided us a great life because she was just so good and she just really knew what was going in and what was going out, right? She was on top of it. So she kind of set that foundation. And then so I'm like, I have an interest. And then I started realizing people actually give their financial legacies to like a salesperson, a financial advisor, a joker broker, a certified financial planner. These people, most of which who don't have a fiduciary responsibility to you, they just literally will put your funds and your financial legacy, maybe for generations to come, which you could turn it into, but they take it and whatever benefits them the most and whatever, where they get the most return and compensation from. Not saying they're all like that. There are some great, genuine, good people, ethical people who are in this business, but it just didn't sit right with me, like letting somebody else direct my financial future. So I just started reading some books, and on a 2014 deployment, I was floating for 135 days straight without hitting a port. I just read a bunch of books, and I just kept seeing a pattern about real estate investing. Knew nothing about real estate investing at this point. A few years back, I did buy the single family home with the VA loan, and I was house hacking before I knew about house hacking or anything about investing at all. I just like, well, look, I have a big bedroom on this lower floor, and my friend's looking for a place, and he could cover most of my mortgage. Why not? He was cool with it. We were cool with it. And then, fast forward, I kind of, after that deployment, just started taking action by just reading books and listening to podcasts on all things real estate. And, fast forward, I found, an organization that I joined to get education on all things, real estate, how people generate cash flow. And then I got mentorship. I paid for coaching and mentorship. And it was kind of group coaching and just getting into this big organization that gave me a foundation. But I didn't really get any traction until I started working with like one-on-one coaches specific to the niche that I want, which was multifamily. And so the minute I started focusing on multifamily, that was like, I feel like it was my calling, because the more I learned about it, the more I was attracted to it. So the more I was attracted to it and excited about it, the more action I was taking. And as I was learning more and more about real estate, I was learning more and more about personal growth and, just growing as a human and just building the right habits for success, building the high performance habits that high achievers have. And while I'm learning about real estate, learning about all that and simultaneously growing as a person so I could achieve the goals that I set for myself, which earlier you mentioned 5,000 doors. And I think because, I'm moving in that direction and who I've chosen to surround myself with, coupled with the military experience that you're obtaining right now, it's just like these things are embedded into our DNA, the grit, the leadership, the work ethic, the teamwork, all these things just turn us into these great, investors and business people if you leverage it. And the military, I believe, will make you or break you. So I kind of just took what I learned from that, the network that I built from there, and then I kind of just applied that in business and in the side hustle. And then I've been on short order for the last 4 years, and that's where I was able to scale, a four-figure portfolio that I've helped close while I was still active duty. I just separated.
You said a lot of great things. One of the books that I'm reading right now is Awaken the Giant Within, and I think by Tony Robbins. And that's what you've done. You've awakened that giant by just consistent action and learning about different opportunities that are out there. Why this instead of the stock market or, continuing with financial advising?
I don't know if I'm a control freak, dude, but I knew putting your money in stocks, you have no control of what happens to it at all. I mean, you could do all the data and statistical research that you possibly want until your freaking eyes bleed. But you're putting your money into an asset, into a paper asset that you have zero control of what happens to it, right? You could set triggers and puts and say, hey, look, I'm going to, at this point, sell off. I don't want it to drop below this, or if it goes above this, sell it, like whatever you want to do. But you have no control of the direction of that trend, of that investment. And again, you could study all the white papers you want, but you'll never know. And it didn't sit right with me. Another thing that I just wasn't content with it. So I'm like, how could I control my own financial future? And I'm like, well, I could just acquire assets. And that's where I, started learning about Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That opened me up, to a lot of different ways, and that you could generate cash flow, and just real estate just kept pulling me towards it. But then I learned about horizontal, all the different ways you could generate, wealth and build income and passive and active income in real estate. I just learned a little bit about each one just until I just chose the one that made the most sense, again, which was multifamily. I wasn't sitting right with, somebody else controlling where my investment was going. And I realized when you invest and buy and hold long term, you can control assets, you actually have a say, and you have direct control of what happens to the value of the property, whether it's one single family home or 100-unit apartment complex plus. What you put into it, the choices you make will dictate the success and the valuation of these assets. And I learned that it kind of goes the same way in businesses, small businesses and large, businesses that people buy and sell. It's basically the same thing. You're finding distressed assets that people just want out, or people are uncomfortable and happy. You get it off their shoulders. You do a good thing for them, and you increase it, improve it, the value by just understand the market, understanding how to add value, and then you kind of just go for it and figure it out along the way. And that's just a strategy that worked for me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And I think we've seen that multifamily also did the best during the COVID crisis, right? And a huge thing that affected lots of industries, lots of stocks, like you said, they can control what happened, but with multifamily, you could. Okay.
I mean, not only do you have just so much control, but the scale that you have and the amount of time that you could do it is just incredible. I mean, and you don't even have to have a crap load of money to own a 100-unit apartment complex. You just need the knowledge and the hustle, right? And the willingness to learn what it takes. And every single person who gets into this does not need, a six-figure paycheck or a million plus cash on hand to put into one of these assets. It's just learning how to access that capital using other people's funds, and people who really want to invest in capital who aren't willing to do the work, but they're willing to partner with you who is willing to do the work, right? Finding those people, finding the opportunities, and then just understanding that you have to continue to grow as a person and be a student, right, of life and of business and of real estate. And glad I could be here and kind of just share what I've learned,
Yeah, no, and that's what I love is I keep asking myself, like, why doesn't everybody do this? Why doesn't everybody go out and be an entrepreneur? Like, there's just an unlimited amount that you can make, and you get to be your own boss. You don't have not being told when to go to work. But I think it's like you said, it takes work. It's not easy. You have to be willing to set aside your pride and learn and ask questions.
Definitely takes a huge commitment, and one of the biggest reasons that only less than 10%, closer to 1% of our society will ever be financially free and truly financially free is one of the biggest reasons is because our society programs us to work for somebody else. And I don't even want to get into our school system and our college and our university and all the student loans that are outstanding, and the fact that student loans annually are going up. The base pay out of college is staggering, actually going down a little bit. So that deficit, that delta is intense. I think that's one of the biggest things is that our government is not going to, teach you how to be financially free because they want you to rely on them and things like that. But yeah, with COVID, there's a lot of things changing right now. people are just sitting at home collecting unemployment, making more than people who are going to bust their butt, working 40, 50, 60 hours a week.
Yeah.
Making a decent wage, but people making unemployment because of things that have passed over the years. People could literally just do nothing because they're making more than they were when they were actually working. It's crazy, man. But I don't want to rely on the government. I don't want to rely on the school system or any corporation at all. I want to create jobs. I want to create housing and provide housing because the government, they're actually just going to partner with you if you continue to do that and demonstrate that behavior. They want you to continue that behavior, so they incentivize the heck out of you by reducing your taxes significantly, because they want you to continue providing housing and providing jobs, And so the ones that are doing that are highly incentivized and super high net worth because they own and control a lot of assets. They don't really pay a whole lot of taxes. And it's not that they don't pay them, but they don't owe them because it's structured properly. They provide enough housing and provide enough jobs that the government will incentivize them by saying, hey, keep doing what you're doing because you're improving our government better than we can. So we're going to reduce your taxes. So continue doing that. We'll let you continue to roll it over into the next one, and we'll reduce your taxes through accelerated depreciations and 1031 exchanges and all the different loopholes that you get to learn. And the more I learned about that, I was like, why are more people not taking action on this as a side hustle to set their families up? But most people are not willing to do what it takes to put the work in, because it does take a commitment. And in order to make a commitment, there has to be a why. Why would I want to do that? And most people realize I could achieve financial freedom, but only a small percentage of people believe that they truly can.
Yeah. And it's that belief that I think drives people. What you're talking about, not paying taxes or being able to have the government help you, is Garrett Sutton's book, Loopholes of Real Estate, right? He's like, the government has put in certain places saying, hey, help us out, give people affordable housing. So yeah, I love that. It's not that you're not paying, it's that you are providing people housing.
Yeah, I'll never forget. I read that Loopholes of Real Estate on that 2014 deployment, and I was in my rack, literally, and I read this. I'm like, what the heck is going on? How does I'm just sitting here and I just couldn't wait to take action after I got off that deployment. And 2015 is really when it started picking up. But yeah, the Tax-Free Wealth by Tom Wheelwright really dives into the taxes, and the loopholes are all about legal and taxes, and that's really what separates the people who are able to achieve true financial freedom and abundance and fulfillment. Because it's not really the money; it's the money. It's what the money gives you. It's the options and time, right? So the people who what really separates those is a financial education, just understanding basic concepts, specifically about debt and taxes, right? Specifically about how to leverage debt and other people's money to buy assets that then you own and control with no money or low money out of pocket. And then that's infinite wealth building. You just invest a little bit of time up front, especially if you're only acquisitions, if you're not constantly managing ongoing. And that's really one of the major key things that separates those is a financial education, but more specifically understanding how debt and taxes really, how you can leverage both debt and taxes and the tax code to build wealth. The government wants you to do these things, but most people are not willing to do what it takes to learn about them because they heard that their mom's uncle's grandma's friend lost a couple houses in a crash or something. So they're like, oh, it's way too risky, and then they just put a wall up, and then they're like, I'm gonna go play video games, watch Netflix, and be very, very content with a mediocre life. And I wasn't okay with that. And it's awesome that you're not either. And our whole mastermind isn't either. And it's just a bunch of people that are helping each other out, man. So yeah, man, this is awesome stuff.
It is. And that's what I love is it goes back to that opportunity, seeing opportunity and not being content. Educating yourself. That's the lowest risk that you can have, is when you educate yourself, you know what's going on. That's why I love the Multifamily Academy, because you're around people. You also have to surround yourself with people who are like-minded. All right, don't listen to those who haven't done it. Don't listen to those who have struggled or haven't learned. They bought something and then they failed at it. Right? You've got to listen to those that educate. So I wanted to go off of that. How are you? What's the next step for you in educating? I know because you are on the vice president of education for Active Duty Passive Income. What's next there for the education?
Man, so let's start with MFA. That's my baby, and everything. 80% of my time is dedicated to just adding the most amount of value to it. And so we're having serious conversations right now. Is that there is going to be like an executive wardroom inside the MFA, where it's more of an exclusive like inner circle type of thing, or like an iron council or whatever you want to call it, where it's just more one-on-one time like we're doing right now, and we're helping each other out. Where Adam and I and Eric will be readily available and more exclusive time. But there's going to be a lot of other benefits to it, like it's going to be a springboard for your own personal brand and your businesses. Then we're going to roll out ADPI coaching just one-on-one. It's going to be completely separate. Even if you're not in the academy, one of the academies or masterminds for residential or commercial, maybe you just want one-on-one with one of the coaches. That's it. So that's in the process of being rolled out. But MRIA, the residential, the military real estate investing academy, the residential turnkey single family, 1 to 4 units, that is has been under complete revamp for over a year. And so it's being released within like the next month, completely brand new, because that was the first product that Markion and Mike Foster built when they were in the Naval Academy together. Like right after the Naval Academy, they met, they hit it off. Mike started the podcast. They built that academy together. But now all the leadership of ADPI came together to build this incredible course. So like I did a bunch of modules, Adam did a bunch of modules, Mike, Jill, Victoria, Spencer, and like Kevin Brenner, all the people on the team kind of came together and we put this incredible course together. So that's just weeks away from being released. And then, we have this insurance brokerage that we have to help educate people on the how to capture the benefits of whole life insurance using high cash value policies to just accelerate your wealth. Because you can leverage again, you could become your own banker. And the closer you can get from not using actual traditional banks and becoming your own banker and creating your own economy, the quicker, like the more and more freedom you're actually going to have, and the more wealth you'll be able to build. And then so that's a little bit of it. And then, but I mean, there's so much happening with education, man. We're trying to do as much as we can and listen to the community as much as possible. But there's still a lot of people who struggle to understand why we're charging other veterans for like these services. Because there's so many people who think veterans should just get this type of stuff for free. And it's just, that's why we really cherish people like you who see the value in it. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah. No, and there is a ton of value in it. It's surrounding yourself with people. If I didn't mention this before, but if you're active duty or veteran or any sort of military, you need to be a part of active duty passive income. That's actually who I asked a bunch of questions. That's why we bought this condo in San Diego. I asked a bunch of questions. They gave us a bunch of answers. We also used vetted VA for our loans. And so, yeah, it's a community of people who want to build wealth through real estate. And this is just one avenue. We were talking before about all of the aspects of real estate as well. Like you just mentioned them, whole life insurance. There's being your own banker. So yes, you need to be a part of active duty passive income because these people devote their lives and their souls to this company and helping people. I was just talking to a chief on my ship. He, after 17 years, just bought his first house. And we were like, you could have been using it and growing that wealth over the life of his service, but you just need to know where to go and the options that you have out there. So it's an invaluable education platform, and the Facebook, it is free until you learn the value that they can provide. So with that, who was your first mentor and how did you find them?
Yeah. So I did kind of grind out a lot as much as possible just through learning through various platforms and podcasts and just courses and buying ebooks and just reading books. And then I just started to learn about the power of joining the local RIA, the Real Estate Investment Association, and then just getting to know the people who are actually doing deals inside the market where you live. It's just a great place to start. If you have no idea where to go, you're just hanging out with people who are doing it and who are willing to help you or partner with you or maybe push you in the right direction. So a lot of the first mentors, kind of the people that came to those meetings, and that's where I send where my partners, that's where my partners are at, my potential partners are at, and that's the vision I had. And then that's where I found some potential partners, and that's where I learned. And then I decided to invest, money in myself and spent a lot of money on real estate investing, education, and mentorship. Right. And that gave me a whole nother view, that opened up a whole nother network. And then the biggest game changer was then when I started working with coaches inside of a different organization who more or less is overall just, a business association where, worldwide, who has coaches who specialize in certain fields. And so that's just another platform that I joined, where I found a coach. But, now because I do one-on-one coaching outside of ADPI, I will always have coaches, because since I started working one-on-one with coaches, it was just the most game-changing thing that just kind of changed the trajectory. It was very pivotal, because then I was able to get out of my own head. It's one thing about being in a group and kind of learning in a group setting, but having somebody else simply as an accountability partner is just absolutely massive. Even if they don't even give you any guidance, just a weekly, how's your progress, check in, where are you at, what's your next move, where are you stuck, what questions do you have? That is just immeasurably valuable, right? Just that one accountability piece, having a person who can hold you accountable and already have done what you're trying to do is just, and someone who you respect. That to me, it just sounded like a no-brainer. I was willing to continue investing in myself until I just had the light bulbs that went off, and then I did. And again, because those are the decisions that I made. Then, hyper focusing on multifamily and hyper focusing on mobile home parks. Those are probably the biggest contributors. So that's kind of like my mentorship and coaching and education kind of history. But a lot of it was my own personal grind, listening to podcasts for free in the car, in the shower, during workouts, and then, listening to, using my car as a mobile university, of course, then just reading books. And whether it's a flight or waking up early, staying up late, I spent pretty much all my free time educating myself and consuming material. And then I learned that, I got to also throw in some entertainment time too. And that's why I was awesome. I was so pleased to come across the EDE ratio that I stumbled across one of my favorite books, the education to entertainment ratio, which any free time you have, 80% of it should be towards education, self-development in your business, growing spirituality, praying, working out, meditation. That's 80% of your free time. And then 20% of it needs to be some kind of entertainment, a date, live music, Netflix and chill, going to the beach, hanging out, whatever, hobby, right? Completely separate from business and investing. And that's just what I found. A lot of successful people use that as like a rule of thumb, and that's what I think about a lot, and how I like to manage my time and stuff, because that's super important. Man, time management is huge.
Yeah, and that, you guys, that's why I love Tim Kelly. When I heard that, that's what I started doing. 80-20, because people spend 90% of their time on, like you said at the beginning, video games, music, when you're in the car. I ask people when they come drive. There's a guy that I work with. He has an hour drive. I said, "What do you do?" He's like, "Listen to music." So that's an hour. That's 2 hours out of your day that you could be educating yourself on something. So that's awesome. And then like you said, a mentor. Until you really realize and meet with somebody, you don't know the power of a mentor. Somebody to help educate you, to be there. Just that accountability piece, like you said. We need somebody in our lives that you can reach out to, that knows you, trusts you, and wants you to succeed. It's powerful to have somebody in your corner. So, well, Tim, I know you're a busy guy, and we're about out of time. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about, or advice that you have for beginners in real estate?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different ways that we could take this and answer that question, man. It's just something that we preach all the time, is just like, if you want to be successful, regardless if you're in real estate, if you want to learn how to be a pro tennis player, whatever it is, the success triangle, something we talk about all the time: learn, network, and take action, right? So the more as you're learning, and like you said, you're putting the time into your education. I put my time into education through books, podcasts, courses, ebooks, mentors, coaches, your RIA, meetups. Get education, and while you're educating yourself, network with other people who are doing the same, or who have done the same, and who are like-minded and like-hearted. So while you're learning, continue to network, and every single day grow as a person and continue to take action. Don't ever let up, and just understand that you truly will be the only person to stop you. And if you're not willing to establish targets and say, this is what I will achieve, by this day, and these are the metrics that I'm going to use to measure it. If you're not willing to do that, and on top of that, have some kind of accountability system in place through a mentor, a coach, or a mastermind, you don't deserve to achieve those goals. That's truly like what I feel. That's why in the action journal that Kevin Brenner and I put together, I have that word for word. That's in the masterclass. That truly is. That's why having that, writing down, this is what I want, and visualizing yourself achieving, you're getting it. Like you're seeing yourself achieve those goals, and then the more you write it down, the more you see it, the more you tell other people what your goals are, the more it's going to become a reality. And don't let anybody around us, which you have to understand the masses, and I'm not degrading anybody, belittling the masses, but like I said, the robots that are put through our school system, we're programmed to be employees and to work for other people and rely on other corporations, the government. If you could see beyond that and really you could see yourself controlling your own financial future, all you got to do is continue to take action and move in the direction, and understand the failures and struggles are part of the process, and it's not those are not anything that should prevent you from success. Those are required in order to find success. So you need the rejection, you need the no's, you need the struggles, you need, the failures, and where to the point where you're like questioning yourself, what the heck am I been doing for the last year, 2 years? I don't have any traction. Never stop moving forward, period.
Yeah.
And if you continue to network while you're learning, and then you'll figure out how to add value to people and add value to teams, and based off your own self-assessment and having the self-awareness is what could I bring to the table, you won't know until you educate yourself and learn how to get a deal done, and learn how to structure partnerships, and learn how to syndicate or raise capital or analyze markets, analyze deal, like all these different components. You can easily learn it. You just have to start putting it into practice. And it does seem like a lot. It does seem daunting, but if I could do it, this freaking simpleton from the suburbs of Chicago, anybody can, man. Anybody can. And I empower anybody to listen to this. If there's light bulbs going off, just start taking action. Reach out to Bo. Ask Bo what he's been doing. He's on a freaking hot streak. And I love the fact that I can grow with these guys, and Bo being one of those main people I'm talking about.
That's awesome. Well, Tim, thank you so much. Like you said, you deserve what you tolerate. Yep. So, again, thank you so much for your time. Keep it up. I'm going to put the links in below for all of the active duty passive income. If you are active duty or any sort associated with the military, go check these guys out, right? They will help you achieve your financial goals and your dreams. So, all right, Tim, thanks so much for your help, and I look forward to keep working with you in the Multifamily Academy.
All right, Bill. Yeah, it'd be great, man. We'll talk soon.